It is Thursday, March 25th. This is Jaguars Happy Hour. Jaguars Happy Hour is presented by Duval Motor Company. And now, a guy who finished just behind Marvin Jones Jr. on American Idol, J.P. Shadrick.
Welcome in, Jaguars Happy Hour on this Thursday. Yes, I am J.P. Shadrick. Jeff Lageman is along with us today, and we have a busy program ahead. Free agency review, some of the new faces, new names for the Jaguars. We'll go through some of those with Logs, and maybe a quarterback on the move at some point. We'll discuss the rumors around Gardner Minshew. NFL media reporter Judy Battista scheduled to join us in about 15 minutes. We'll get a big scope view of things going on around the NFL and her thoughts on what the Jaguars have done the last couple weeks. Jaguars reporter Ashlyn Sullivan on the schedule at 4:30 today. She had some sit-down conversations with some of the new Jaguars, and we'll get some highlights from her of those conversations, and we'll go around the National Football League, as we always do. Jeff Lageman, good afternoon. What's up?
Yeah, it's all good, JP. The Jaguars are rolling in free agency right now.
Yes. A lot of new guys here.
Yeah, a lot of new guys, but I don't want to say the rebuild or the retooling of the roster, I think, is what was needed to add some veteran presence and some guys that have been proven.
Yeah.
And I like that aspect of it. And the beautiful part of that is that you're creating competition at as many places as you can, and that's what makes teams better.
Early in free agent, the first day or whatever, the negotiation window is open. I think Jag fans on social media are starting to freak out a little bit. They're not signing anybody. What's going on? They're not getting the big name tight ends. What's happening? And then after a couple of days, you realize, okay, there's a different approach here. They might have wanted one of those tight ends, but they're not going to spend $28 million to go get one.
Well, I think Urban alluded to that,
Yep.
and he was talking about how a lot of times, you like to find or get guys, and all of a sudden you find out that the asking price is, $28 million a year or whatever for a guy. And he was kind of exaggerating, obviously, by saying $28 million, but we get his point, and that you got to compete, and this is not college football, and he knows that, and everybody knows that. It's about the almighty dollar, and then when the dollars are similar, then certain things can come into play, like who the coach is, where the market is, how successful a team is, and all those other things factor in. But make no mistake about it. To go back to one of the famous movie quotes ever, show me the money.
Yes. It's all about the dollars, yes.
I've been in free agency. I mean, I look at
Right.
and I can tell you, in order to have a conversation, the conversation needs to be started by money. Then you can progress.
That's what it's about. By the way, we have some breaking news, some Jaguars breaking news that has just happened. The Jaguars have re-signed defensive end Adam Gotsis. He's back. 6'4", 287-pounder, played in all 16 games and started 14 last year for the Jags. 37 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 3 passes defensed. He was in Denver before that. He's from Australia and went to Georgia Tech. So he has been re-signed.
He's got a great accent.
Yes.
Love listening to the guy talk. And,
how did he play last year for you?
I thought he was solid. And I thought that coming out of training camp, you could tell that his knee wasn't quite 100%. But as the season kind of wore on, he got a little bit better, a little bit stronger. And, with the Joe Cullen defensive coordinator, you're going to see, obviously, some principles of the 3-4. And I think Adam Gotsis will fit that role of being able to play in a 3-4 or a 4-3. I think it fits him to a T. I'm not saying he's going to become a Pro Bowler. That's not going to happen. But I think he's a good, solid rotational player.
It feels like some of these other signings and the trade in, there are guys that can play in both fronts if needed, right? I mean, they have multiple places they can play on the line. So versatility is key for Joe Cullen on defense, I think.
Also, and
the
I
defensive
think,
line especially.
Well, the one thing I think that they did pretty good in Baltimore, they had some guys that fit the 4-3 better and some that fit the 3-4 better, and they were able to rotate them kind of in waves. And if you were a better fit for the 4-3, then when they went to a 4-3, you were playing. And then the guy that was better in a 3-4, he was sitting on the bench and then backing up that role as far as playing in that other defense. So, look, most of the defenses nowadays have become interchangeable for the most part.
Yes.
A lot of the principles, because, we get this question every year.
Right.
Should the Jaguars play 3-4? If you look at teams that play a 3-4, a lot of teams that play the 3-4 in the National Football League now are playing the 3-4 with principles of the 4-3. So it's not like the old school 3-4 where you've got head-up defensive ends and you got this zero technique head-up nose tackle. It's just they don't play that way anymore when teams are playing the 3-4.
Some of the other additions, of course, defensive line was priority number 2 for Urban Meyer after quarterback in the offseason. We'll get to quarterback coming up. So they did a lot of work there on the defensive line. The secondary, of course, Shaquille Griffin, Rashawn Jenkins added, and then at wide receiver. And Urban Meyer, after the first wave of free agency when they added Marvin Jones and Philip Dorsett, Meyer said, of course, he likes those additions, but he does love the players that are in place.
But the one position I've been pleased with, and I actually, when I first started watching the Jaguars, is DJ Chark and Laviska are 2 guys that I think you can build. They're young. I've spent a lot of time with them. They've been in to see me. They're anxious. They're ready to go. I hired an excellent receiver coach in Sanjay Lal. That position is going to be a huge part of our offense.
Yeah, I'd say. And then they had the 2 guys they did in free agency logs in Marvin Jones and Philip Dorsett to go with Chark and Chenault and Colin Johnson. That's a pretty good 5 right there, by the way.
Well, I think it's solid. Philip Dorsett, to me, has got a lot to prove. I mean, he's fast, but can he be a good wide receiver? I mean, he's yet to prove that, to where he can be a dominant force in the National Football League. He's bounced around a lot. When a guy bounces around a lot, that means that there's some questions about him. But there is reason to be excited. Laviska Shenault, young player that you liked what he did last year. Colin Johnson, who I still believe has more upside than Laviska Shenault. He's a big guy. He's got speed. He gets great separation. So there's going to be a lot of guys. And I think the one category, and I think the wide receiver position is good, but it's not set by any means.
They said they still want to do a little more work on it.
Well, a little more work, and then there's going to be a little bit more work when you get into the draft.
Right.
But you really need to find what I would term the easy targets for your quarterback, and you still got work to do in that area, and that's tight end and running back. And when I say running back, I'm not talking about a guy that can carry the rock on first and second down.
They've got that.
I'm talking about a guy that can make defensive coordinators hold their breath. How are we going to cover this guy? Are we going to cover him with a safety? Are we going to cover him with a corner? Or are we going to cover him with a linebacker? Because if you have a great running back who's great out of the backfield, that stresses a defense in a big way. And as I said, it's an easy target for your quarterback. Tight ends and running backs are easy targets for a young quarterback.
If you're looking for a way to stay active and eat healthy, you can join Jags alumni players as they teach football fundamentals and join members of the Roar as they make their favorite dairy snacks. Visit jaguars.com/community to fuel greatness from anywhere. We continue our conversation with the quarterback room. Speaking of throwing the ball around, they've added a quarterback this week. C.J. Beathard was signed. He is from San Francisco. 2 years, $5 million deal. A 2-10 record as a starter in San Francisco, 59% passer logs, 3,500 yards or so in his career, 18 touchdowns and 13 picks. A third-round pick back in 2017 out of Iowa. So the Jaguars quarterback room at the moment is C.J. Beathard, Jake Luton, Gardner Minshew. That's alphabetical order, by the way.
I first of all, his grandfather, I have a huge debt of gratitude for.
Really? Why's that?
Well,
Bobby.
Bobby Beathard, when I was coming out as a college player, was the general manager of the Washington Redskins. And through a friend of a friend, my dad, my family, we were able to ask Bobby a lot of questions about agents, the NFL, the process of the draft, and he was incredibly helpful to me. And so big thank you to Bobby, and obviously Bobby, which is CJ's grandfather, is a Hall of Famer. So I like him already because I know he comes from good people. And I got a text from a friend of mine, and I shared it with you earlier, a friend of mine that lives in Iowa, and he said, in his text, he said, first and foremost, I want to tell you that you guys got a stand-up quality guy, first and foremost. And then he started talking about, he's smart, he's got strong arm, tough as nails, great team player. And these are all the things that you need for a team that's expected to draft the future of the franchise. Somebody that's a team player and somebody that can help a young quarterback along, because he himself is smart, but it's not just about hiring another coach. You got to have a guy that can play, and certainly C.J. Beathard has proven that he has some traits that are pretty strong.
The name that's been floated out there a lot in the last few weeks with the Jags quarterback backup situation was Alex Smith, right? I mean, that was the big he's the big connection with Urban.
People are jumping to conclusions a little bit on
Correct.
that because of the past connection.
That's right, and that was the name that's out there. So you think C.J. Beathard is the veteran quarterback? He's going to be that guy.
He can be, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, does this,
they don't go after somebody else.
Does this stop you from signing Alex Smith? No. Could it? Sure.
Gotcha.
I mean, because here's the thing. Do you want to pay? What is Alex Smith going to cost?
That's
I mean,
a
the
great
backups
question.
right now have been going for ballpark $3.5 million. In some cases, maybe a little bit more than that, but not many. With Alex's injury history, does he go past that? I don't think so. So he would probably cost in that range. So, I mean, could
or is he
be
even
brought in?
interested? He might not even be interested
May not
in
be.
doing it.
I mean, Alex Smith, look, when you come back and you fight back from what he had, do you want to come back just to be a backup, or you want to come back and be a starter? Look, I get it if he wants to be a starter, but the starter jobs are drying up. So I don't know what that means for Alex Smith, but I think the writing is on the wall for Gardner Minshew.
That was going to be the next question. What does that mean for the Mustangs?
I think that he's not going to be a Jaguar in 2021.
Sooner rather than later, or
well, I mean, first of all, you're going to try to get anything that you can for him, even if it's a biscuit. I mean, because look, you don't want to cut a player if you can get something for him, and I think that this does mean that Gardner Minshew is going to be gone. I didn't talk to anybody that told me that either.
correct.
That's just what I infer when you sign a C.J. Beathard, when you have another young quarterback who has some of the physical traits that you want in a quarterback, young, strong arm, tall, can see the pocket, can see the field, and that's what you have in a young player in Jake Luton, then I think that it would probably be time to move on from Gardner Minshew. And look, I hope he gets an opportunity to go somewhere, and I hope he gets an opportunity to play and compete. Because here, he's not getting that.
Urban Meyer called him a competitive maniac the other day when talking about it.
Look, and there's nothing wrong with that. And Urban Meyer and anybody that's in the position of Urban Meyer is going to do nothing but praise and compliment any player that they have on their roster, even if they want to look at trading them, just because you certainly don't want to make any other comments. You want to build up any of the resources that you have so that you can get the top amount in return eventually if you'd like to trade them. I don't know if they're going to let C.J. Beathard and Gardner Minshew compete. They might. For me, I don't see that happening.
Let's come back. Plenty of show ahead. We'll return with NFL Network reporter Judy Battista. She's covered the league for a long time. We'll get her thoughts on the owners' meetings coming up next week and what the Jaguars have done in free agency so far early in the Urban Meyer and Trent Baalke era. And check out the official Jaguars Podcast Network. It's a free subscription on Apple iTunes or Spotify. This program archived every week, and many others as well. Give us that 5-star rating, and we're off and running. It's Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.
On the road, there's a thin line between safety and tragedy. Don't cross it. Give law enforcement, first responders, and service professionals the space to safely do their jobs. When you see flashing lights, move over a lane or slow down 20 miles per hour below the posted speed limit. See lights? Move over, Florida. Brought to you by the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles and the Florida Highway Patrol.
Kessler Creative, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, has the large format printing services running in high gear, creating large banners for marketing events, full vehicle wraps. Learn how Kessler changes the game with print and direct mail innovation. From eye-catching restaurant menus to real estate yard signs and event displays, Kessler does it all. Kessler Creative, Jacksonville, Florida. Results-driven marketing and a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hi, this is Dr. Patrick Basil of Basil Plastic Surgery and Wellness. I'm a proud veteran of the U.S. Navy, and during my active duty time, I had the amazing privilege to serve our country and those who were wounded in combat. Helping my patients return to a normal life, I was able to provide an unparalleled level of care, which I've carried over to my own private practice today. As the official plastic surgeon of the Jaguars, I would like to wish the Jags best of luck and invite you to visit us at patrickbasilmd.com.
Superior Fence and Rail knows about commercial fence services, from automatic gates to security fence and railing. Superior Fence and Rail's professional team delivers with great communication, trained installers, and quality products. Trust your next commercial project with a top-rated fence company in Jacksonville. Get off the fence and call Superior Fence and Rail for your commercial project today.
SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Headquartered right here in Jacksonville, CSI Companies is one of the fastest growing staffing firms in the nation. As a proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars, CSI knows how important it is to find the right people for your team. See why some of Jacksonville's top companies choose CSI for their staffing needs. Visit CSICompanies.com or call 800-582-0828 today. That's 800-582-0828 for CSI Companies.
The best thing about working at Farrah & Farrah is all of the employees. We all work together. It's extremely enjoyable to come to work every day.
There's a common cause or goal. No matter what your job is, we're all there for the client.
We are dedicated to our clients 100%. We do everything it takes to maximize the value of their claims.
Farrah & Farrah is really the Farrah family. When they choose us, they choose a family to fight for them and to protect them, to make sure that they're in a good place and that they have somebody on their side.
Farrah & Farrah, here for you, here for good. Jacksonville.
Jaguars Happy Hour is presented in part by TIAA Bank, created to serve, built to perform. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. And Baptist Health, changing healthcare for good.
Jacksonville just was a clear choice after knowing that I just needed a fresh start, and everything is just new here, and coming back to Florida, be able to have the opportunity to be a part of something new and something great and something special. I feel like that's the part that I was looking forward to. Don't get me wrong, I built a life and some great friends, some great relationships in Seattle, but I also learned so much. And knowing that it is a business aspect behind it, everything that I have learned, that's something that I hold dear to my heart. But now starting to start my own journey. I was behind a group, they called it Legion of Boom at the time. It's always something that they had going on already. And now I get a chance to start part of something great, something new, something different that we can call our own. So I'm excited about that. I think that's the most exciting thing, knowing that I can write my own journey, my own story with an organization that truly believes in me the same way I believe in them.
Shaquille Griffin, Jaguars cornerback, and welcome back. Jaguars Happy Hour, JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman. The Jaguars have been busy in free agency. And somebody who's always busy on NFL Network and NFL Media is our good friend Judy Battista, who's been with the network since 2013, long time with the New York Times before that. Judy, it's great to see you and talk to you. How are you?
Good to see you guys. Everything's good here. Hope the same for you.
Yeah, we're hanging in there. It's a lot of new faces around the Jaguars these days. And, Urban Meyer got his first taste of NFL business the last couple weeks. And he was asked, this is not like recruiting where you get everybody on your list. When all of a sudden that guy on your list costs $28 million, it's almost a welcome to the NFL type moment, Judy.
Well, I loved his quote where he said he thought the system was terrible, that you're signing these guys to big contracts and guys you've never met before, you've never looked in the eye. I mean, he's right. The system's terrible, but welcome to the NFL. I mean, this is what it's like. It's not like being at Florida and Ohio State, that's for sure.
Yeah, Judy, sometimes we in Jacksonville can look at things with teal-colored glasses. What is the rest of the NFL? How do they look at what's going on in Jacksonville with Urban Meyer?
Well, I think there's a real sense of anticipation and hope not just for Urban Meyer, but because of what we expect is going to happen in the draft, that this is a real opportunity to turn the page rather quickly. There's a lot of draft ammunition. You were pretty active in free agency, and I think we're all curious to see how Urban Meyer does in the NFL. That's been the case for years, right? I mean, he's been successful literally everywhere he's been in college football, and so I think we're all curious to see how he does in the NFL. But I think a real sense of anticipation of him paired with Trevor Lawrence, we assume, and that potentially the franchise can really take off kind of quickly.
I'm curious, Judy, he's been a clear and concise communicator so far, and I'm not really sure what we all expected on that front here, but it has been nice. Every time he's been on a Zoom call, he's been pretty much straight to the point. He answers questions thoroughly. I'm curious, though, when the ball's on the tee in September and there's 65,000 people in the stadium and there's another football team on the sideline and adversity hits, which it will, how will that happen for Urban? And how I think that's the big question he wants to answer himself, too.
Yeah, and look, I mean, he obviously faced adversity as a college football coach and did just fine. The results speak for themselves. So I don't think it's that. I mean, certainly the NFL, the spotlight of the NFL is immense. He had an awful lot of spotlights on him, though, so I don't think that's going to be it. We have seen, the fact is, we've seen a lot of really, really great college football coaches not do so great in the NFL, and that's why it's always so intriguing, right? I mean, we all look at Nick Saban. Now, maybe things would have been different. They almost certainly would have been different if the doctors had cleared Drew Brees and they had signed Drew Brees in Miami. But I mean, this is arguably the greatest college football coach in the history of the sport. And he didn't do great in the NFL. And so that's the most recent example. I mean, Chip Kelly, wildly successful in college, not so much in the NFL. I think Urban Meyer coached at a high level at high-level universities with tremendous results. It's as close as you can get to being an NFL coach without being an NFL coach. So now we're going to see what he does at this level. He knows how to coach. Right. I think the only real question is, what's his judgment of players and, how does he assemble a roster? And is that what he needs to does he need to improve on it at the NFL level, or does he know exactly what he's doing right out of the gate?
Judy, with a coach that's viewed as outstanding, they want to coach, and you got to have an off season and players in front of you to be able to coach. What do you envision the NFL offseason looking like with COVID still kind of at the front lines of things in the NFL?
Well, I certainly don't expect it's going to look anything like an offseason like you used to have, Jeff. It's going to be, I think, something closer to what we had last year. As you well know, the Players Union wants to keep it like it was last year, all virtual. They liked it. No surprise, veteran players in particular don't want to have to show up for mandatory mini camps. That is being hashed out now between the league and the Players Union. Obviously, the league coaches in particular, but some owners too, very much want some in-person work. I talked to an owner who said, I said to him, like, did the level of play really drop off, you think, last year because you didn't have any off-season work? And he said, well, when you talk to position coaches, they will point out, parts of the fundamentals of the game that they just did not think were being performed at the right level. And that's the kind of thing you can do when you have time during the off-season program that you just can't do once you're in season and you're working on a game plan day to day. So certainly there's going to be some push and pull there. I suspect they will go somewhere in the middle, but I don't think it's going to be a normal off-season program.
Judy Battista with us from NFL Media and NFL Network here on Jaguars Happy Hour. Next week, the NFL annual meeting, speaking of virtual, that will still be online, and there's some big things on the docket, some rule changes that are pending. I mean, there's a lot going on. What is the most notable news nugget we will get out of next week?
Well, they are going to go ahead with the 17-game regular season. That's definitely going to be the big thing. Actually, the rules changes are not going to happen at this meeting. They're pushing that down the road a little bit. They're going to have another meeting in May. And that's when they'll probably vote on rules changes. But the big thing is that they're going to go ahead with the 17-game regular season and trim the preseason down to 3 games. I don't think you'll get too many people crying about the loss of a preseason game. But that's the big change. I mean, it's a huge change, and they will talk about how those games are going to be scheduled and what the matchups will be. But that's obviously a gigantic change to the NFL calendar. It pushes everything back. The Super Bowl will get played a week later. I think it now will fall on President's Day weekend. So that's actually really good for your Super Bowl parties that you'll have the next day off. But that's a huge change for the NFL.
Yeah, that's a big change. I'm surprised it's going to stay at 3 preseason games, Judy. I mean, 1 regular season game is worth 2 in the preseason all day long.
You can argue that point all day long, and I think what the owners would come back and tell you is, there's revenue. If you cut a preseason game, you lose revenue, you lose ticket sales, you lose parking, you lose concessions, and all of that money comes out of the pot that gets split with the players. So that's how they arrived at 17-3.
Judy Battista with us. One of the big offseason storylines around the NFL is in this division down in Houston, and what has happened with that organization. The storylines just keep piling up. There was the falling out between Deshaun Watson and the organization. He doesn't want to play there. They don't plan to move him. And now it's already been a big story. There's all this the wild turn recently. All these lawsuits are alleging sexual assault and harassment involving masseuses with Deshaun Watson. Where are we with this, and what's next, Judy?
I think we're really only at the very beginning of this. Frankly, the NFL is going to investigate. That's just at the very beginning. I mean, literally, it is at the, NFL sending a letter to the lawyer who has filed the civil suits saying, we want to investigate. Will your clients cooperate? Will you cooperate? So it is at the very beginning. These allegations are shocking. Certainly not anything that anybody saw on the horizon. And just to set aside the troubling nature of the allegations for a second, the fact that they're happening at the same time as there's all of this talk about his future as a football player in Houston makes it even more complicated because, of course, over here you're talking about, well, would they trade him? And, now the question is, well, would anybody trade for him? With all of this hanging over him, you have no idea how it's going to be resolved or when it's going to be resolved. And so everything is at a standstill right now. I don't think anything happens until the investigation proceeds. That's what comes next. And I don't think that's going to be a particularly quick process. I mean, historically, we've seen other investigations in the NFL. They take some time and they require some cooperation, and it's going to be interesting to see the degree of cooperation they get. And high-powered lawyers involved on both sides. So, you should expect quite a bit of public posturing in the interim.
Rusty Harden has a history. Yes, Logs.
It's going to be at a snail's pace. The more lawyers, the slower it's going to go. And Judy, with Commissioner Goodell, obviously he'll have a role in that at some time in the future. Labor peace, TV deal in place. What's next for Roger Goodell?
He probably wants to take a nap. It has been some year. It's been a very good year for him, but obviously an incredibly stressful, busy year for everybody in the NFL. They got the labor deal done a year ago. It passed by 60 votes of the players. It was a very slim margin. And then almost immediately they had to turn right around and go back to the negotiating table because you realize you're going to play a season in the middle of a pandemic. They had to make a decision. Are you playing a season in the middle of a pandemic? They had to redo the labor deal to account for what they knew was going to be a drop in revenue. And then they had to navigate through a pandemic, which was no small undertaking. I think this has been his finest work, getting them through the pandemic. It took a lot. It took a lot of will, and it took a lot of manpower, and certainly it took a lot of financial resources. But they did it, and they did it on time. And that's a great deal of credit has to go to the commissioner, who decided early on they were going to keep moving and they were going to keep the season on track, and they managed to do it. And now you've got the big media deals. And I think if you asked the commissioner, he would tell you himself, that's the last CBA and the last media deal he is going to be around for as the commissioner. I don't think he wants any part of of those processes in another 10 years.
Judy, great stuff as always. Appreciate you jumping on with us today, and we'll talk to you soon.
Great. Look forward to seeing you guys again. Take care.
Judy Battista, one of the best in the business, joining us here on Jaguars Happy Hour. We're back in a moment. One of the best in this building is Ashlyn Sullivan. She'll join us, and we'll get into some of these free agent additions. It's Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network. Jaguars fans, did you know that with Drizzly, you can get Tito's handmade vodka delivered to your door in under 60 minutes? Well, you can. And now they're giving all fans $10 off their first order. Use the code JAGS10 at checkout. Just download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com and make sure you're all set to mix it up with Tito's handmade vodka for the perfect game day. That's DRIZLY.com. And remember to use the special code JAGS10 to save $10 on your first order. 80 proof Tito's handmade vodka. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Crafted to be savored responsibly.
Jaguars fans, let's tackle social injustice together on game days with Selfies for Change. Visit TIAABank.com/selfies for change to take a virtual selfie with a Jaguars player and unlock a $5 donation to the Jaguars Foundation to help fight social injustice. Share your photo on Instagram or Twitter using hashtag Selfies for Change so more fans can be part of the movement. Join us on game days at TIAABank.com/selfies for change. TIAA Bank is the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Dreamfinders Homes has a simple commitment to their home buyers. Deliver unsurpassed quality, uncompromising value, and an extraordinary level of customization you simply won't find with other home builders. With over 40 communities to choose from, you'll find a location you love and the home of your dreams. Dreamfinders has townhomes, single-family homes, and custom estate homes starting from the high 100s and a wide selection of move-in-ready homes. Quality, value, customization. That's the Dreamfinders difference. Call 904-738-0165 or online at dreamfindershomes.com. Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Prices subject to change without notice. Equal housing opportunity.
Floridians know what it means to stand together. That's why Florida Blue is committed to the people of Florida by providing health care with lower costs and higher quality. Enroll within 60 days of life-changing events, such as losing your job, to get benefits like plans as low as $0 a month and up to $500 per year towards your premiums and wellness rewards. Call 1-800-750-0164 or visit floridablue.com/care today. Florida Blue is a trade name of Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Florida, Incorporated. These health benefit plans have limitations and exclusions.
The reload has begun, and the time for talk is over.
When you grab a seat in this beautiful stadium, you're going to see a team play really fast. I want a team that plays fearless.
Visit Jaguars.com to renew your season tickets and join head coach Urban Meyer for a new era of Jaguars football. Already a season ticket member? Renew your tickets by April 9th and guarantee your seat selection. We'll see you at the bank.
You won't find a better deal to keep your ride clean than Scrubble's Flexible Service Car Wash. Start in the tunnel wash and experience state-of-the-art equipment while enjoying a soapy light show. Our quality soaps and solutions keep your vehicle streak-free. Every 3-minute car wash package comes with self-serve vacuuming, lint-free towels, window cleaner, and a free air freshener. Visit us at the St. John's Town Center, Fleming Island, and Atlantic Beach. And coming soon to Kernan and Atlantic. Trust the bow tie. You'll know quality once you arrive. Go Jags!
Jaguars Happy Hour is presented in part by Dreamfinders Homes. Homes that fit your lifestyle. Next Grill. Everyone's invited. And Adecco. Visit ADECOUSA.com.
I'm just going to go out there and lead by example. If I need to talk, then I'll do that too. And usually when I talk, everybody listens. So, I've been doing this a long time, and I've been doing this at a high level for a long time. So, well respected, and that's what I bring here.
That's 10th year NFL receiver Marvin Jones Jr., now a member of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And welcome back to Jaguars Happy Hour, presented by the Duval Motor Company. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman, and the person who got that soundbite as part of the tour of the building for these new free agents, Ashlyn Sullivan, Jaguars reporter, joining us now. Ashlyn, good afternoon. Thanks for the time. What's up?
guys?
We're hanging in there and getting ready for the draft. That's a month away. That's coming up next, Logs, the draft. We're going to get to that a little bit later. But you had a chance as part of this free agent roundup, all these guys coming through the building, meeting coaches, meeting some other players, going to the weight room, checking things out. Part of their tour, Ashlyn, was sitting down with you in that environment. And let's start with Marvin Jones. I mean, this guy, obviously, we know the statistics and what he's done, especially the last couple of years in Detroit. But you learned a lot about him off the field down the hall.
Yeah, I did. He was definitely one of the most impressive guys that we sat down with. And a little nugget, we actually sat down with wide receiver DJ Chark today, and he said that he was really happy that Marvin Jones took the time to sit down with him during his free agency visit. And you guys know they're only here maybe 4 or 5 hours, have to meet with all these coaches, take tours of the building. They might not meet their teammates during free agency visits. So DJ Chark said that definitely stands out. And one thing DJ said, I have the power now to go back to being a 25-year-old and being the young guy in the room. And I think there was a little bit of pressure that DJ had to grow up quicker than he needed to. And now Marvin Jones is that veteran presence that the wide receiver room definitely needed.
Ashlyn, one of the guys that I really enjoyed listening to was Jihad Ward. When you talk about bringing in guys that can carry a message and carry the coach's message, I'm sitting there listening to him going, I'm hearing Joe Cullen speak through Jihad Ward. Am I being mistaken there?
Not at all. He brought up Joe Cullen. The very first thing that we asked him was that relationship, and Urban Meyer said that he banged the table for him to come into this building. And I asked Jihad Ward, what's that relationship like? And Jihad Ward said, oh, Joe Cullen, that's my OG. That's the coach that I always talk to no matter where I am. That's a guy I'm going to have a relationship with. So safe to say they know each other well and like each other.
I think it goes back to even when Ward was coming out in the draft. I think Cullen was helping him work out and do some things. So that is a really tight relationship. I think Cullen, Logs, has that with a lot of guys around the league. He is well respected, certainly among defensive linemen.
Yeah, Joe's always made his presence felt everywhere he's been, no doubt.
No doubt about that. So that's another fine addition. One of 4 defensive linemen added to this team. But Ashlyn, they also did some work on the back end of the defense. That was one of the focuses for Urban Meyer this offseason, work on that secondary. They had a lot of work to do there. Shaq Griffin, we heard from him earlier in the show, was probably the big name, the big splash name that really stands out. But they also have a starting caliber safety back there in Rayshawn Jenkins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that almost got a little bit overlooked when you did sign Shaq Griffin. Rayshawn Jenkins was a starter in Los Angeles, is coming off the best year of his career. And I asked him, what is it like with this trust that you just got a big-time contract in the NFL and the Jaguars, you're going to be a key contributor to this team? And he said, for them to pay me all this money, and I respected that he brought up the contract and he brought up the money, how life-changing it was. For them to trust me with this contract is huge. And now you look at this safety room with Jared Wilson, Daniel Thomas, Andrew Wingard. Now with Rayshawn Jenkins, you feel a lot better about that. This is going to be one of your starting safeties and a guy that's coming off one of the best years of his career.
I still think they can go draft one, Logs, pretty high.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you still draft one because the one thing about the safety position, first of all, you'd love to have 3 or 4 guys, but the ability to contribute on special teams from the safety position is a big part of teams.
Yeah, and he, his first couple years in his career, Jenkins we're talking about here, he was a special teams player. That was it. And he wasn't getting defensive snaps, and then there were some injury issues out in L.A., so he had to jump in the lineup, and he's taken full advantage of it.
Well, and Ashlyn, when you look at the safety position, the height, weight, speed, that's exactly what you're looking for with special teams, and Rayshawn Jenkins cut his teeth. That's where he got to start at.
Yeah, he's definitely hungry, and we asked him about that versatility. I have the list here. He said, I can play man-to-man, I can do the post, I can come down in the box, I can help with run support, I can play on special teams. We probably had more things to say if we didn't cut him off, so he's ready to help in all kinds of areas of the game.
Love it. Good stuff, and those visits available on Jaguars.com, I presume. I know they'll be out in different forums coming up a little bit later, I'm sure, right?
Yes, they will. Later on this week, Jaguars.com, you can see them all.
Looking forward to that. And, hey, thanks for your time, Shlyn. Great to see you. Have a good one.
Thank you for having me. So long, fellas.
So long. Ashlyn Sullivan out of here, Jaguars reporter joining us, and great job. I mean, some of these, and you know what I like about this crew, the free agency crew that have come in here? It seems like they all have their act together. Like at least the presentation that they had on the Zoom call or the Teams call, excuse me. They're all pretty sharp guys.
Well, you have two people whose sole job is to find guys that are going to fit the culture.
That's right.
I mean, literally, you have two guys, okay, that are on staff that make sure that who they bring in fits what they want to be. And I'm talking about from everything as a player to the way that they carry themselves away from this facility.
You're talking about two gentlemen, Ryan Stamper and Marcus Pollard.
And Ryan Stamper is from Jacksonville. Marcus Pollard has been here for quite some time. And obviously Marcus Pollard has played the game and he knows what it takes to be a pro. And Ryan Stamper has a huge amount of trust from the head coach, Urban Meyer.
No doubt. And now those guys will really be key in the draft process too. You know,
they got a lot of phone calls to make, JP.
That's right.
Because
get that Rolodex ready.
That's the one thing about the draft is because, I mean, similar to free agency, and Urban talked about, you know, you can't meet these guys or talk to them much before you're giving them all these contracts. The draft is going to be similar in a lot of ways. You're not going to be able to spend as much time with a lot of these guys to maybe get to know them a little bit more. And to be perfectly honest with you, I think that can be overrated. It's more value in talking to people that you trust that have been around some of these prospects and they know the makeup of the players. And if you can find the avenue, if you can make the phone calls to get that information, that's as good as anything you can get when determining whether a player fits here or not.
If you're looking for a way to stay active and eat healthy, you can join Jags alumni players as they teach football fundamentals and join members of the Roar as they make their favorite dairy snacks. Visit jaguars.com/community to fuel greatness from anywhere. We're back in a moment. We'll hear from Carlos Hyde, new Jaguars running back. Well, not really new. He was here before. And we'll go around the National Football League.
New to us, again.
Well, new.
We didn't see him much the first time around.
It's true. It's a good point. We're back in a moment. It's Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Forever Vets Animal Hospital has always been about helping animals with same-day appointments, walk-ins, and extended hours. Keeping your pets healthy is important to their experienced and dedicated staff. From preventive care, surgical, diagnostic, and emergency procedures, they offer quality pet care at a reasonable cost. Your pets deserve the best, and that's Forever Vets. Visit forevervets.com to learn more and book your first free office exam today. They can't wait to have you as a part of the Forever Vets family.
Hey Jaguars fans, are you ready to talk some trash? Well, nobody talks trash quite like Waste Pro, the official waste service and recycling partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Specializing in residential and commercial solid waste and recycling collection, processing, and disposal, Waste Pro is equipped to handle all your recycling and garbage removal needs. For service, call 904-731-7288. Waste Pro, caring for communities and caring for Jacksonville.
Hey, it's the Good Greek Spiro. I am proud to announce that Good Greek Moving and Storage is now the official mover of your Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars are making all of the right moves, and you should too. So when it's time for you to move, do it like the Jags and call the Good Greek. Simply dial ** Greek from your cell or go to goodgreek.com. That's goodgreek.com. Good Greek Moving and Storage, official movers of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Good Greek Moving and Storage, your superhero movers.
Any repeated physical activity puts stress on the body. Checking your phone, getting in the car, sitting at your desk, checking the phone, getting in your car, sitting at your desk, checking your phone for the 50th time today. If you do anything with regularity, you should get massaged with regularity. Massage Envy. Keep your body working.
Regular body work makes the body work with massage, skincare, and stretch. Come in today for more information or visit massageenvy.com for more details.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. you're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
Pinpoint, the official signage partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, helps business decision makers like you maximize the impact of their brand. Your company's identification, advertising, and even the words you use make an impression on your clients. With Pinpoint as your coach, you can make sure it's a good impression. Pinpoint provides the creative design and production services for anything you need to enhance your brand, from custom signage to complete marketing solutions. Step up your game with Pinpoint and create the ultimate brand experience for your clients. Visit experiencepinpoint.com.
It was a no-brainer for me. Once I saw Coach Meyer become the head coach here, I've had good years with Coach Meyer at Ohio State. And honestly, I've been waiting for Coach Meyer to become a head coach in the NFL. And, he's finally here. And so it was a no-brainer for me to come to Jacksonville once I saw he became the head coach here.
That's Hyde, the Jaguars running back yet again. He was here in 2018, traded over and was behind Leonard Fournette and TJ Yeldon. Welcome back. It's Jaguars Happy Hour. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman. If you're looking for a way to stay active and eat healthy, you can join Jags alumni players as they teach football fundamentals and members of the Roar as they make their favorite dairy snacks. Visit jaguars.com/community to fuel greatness from anywhere. And we're in the middle of season ticket renewal season logs.
It's hot.
It is. The phones are ringing off the hook over there.
Yeah.
And the deadline, by the way, for existing season ticket members to renew, including those on pause from last year, April 9th is the renewal deadline. So get in now before the folks who have deposits for this season have their opportunity. Get your seats locked in because they will go quickly.
To go back to when the Jaguars acquired Carlos Hyde the first time.
That's right.
That was a result of roster mismanagement, in my opinion. Okay. You didn't have a deep enough running back room. And then all of a sudden you got kind of desperate. And then you had to do a trade, and it didn't work out because you can't do that. If you had managed the position better leading up to the season and you brought in more people that could compete at that position, which they didn't do. And it cost them. It cost them a draft pick.
Fifth rounder,
and not a lot of production out of the guy that you acquired. Now that Carlos Hyde is here and he's going to have the full amount of time to get ready to play, as we've seen where he's been elsewhere, he's been good.
We saw him in Houston against this team.
Yes, he was good.
Yeah, really good.
So the blame on the first go-around for Carlos Hyde's lack of production, in my opinion, does not fall on Carlos Hyde. That falls on the Jaguars' roster mismanagement at the time.
There you have it. He's back. It's a new world. It's a new team for him. New leadership, new half the locker room at least will be new next year as well. And we'll be interested to see. He's obviously James Robinson is the guy. But what Hyde's role is here will be interesting, too.
Look, he's going to be a guy that can spell him. I mean, plain and simple. He's along the same lines of player. He's a veteran, though. He's dependable, and he's tough, and he's been available throughout his career. But as I said before, you need to find somebody else in that room that makes you hold your breath, that makes easy completions and big plays for your quarterback, for your young quarterback.
Let's go around the National Football League. Some more signings. Free agency's open, of course. The big first wave is pretty much done, but there's still some names out there, but not Malcolm Butler. He signed with the Cardinals, adding to the list of big names added in Arizona. J.J. Watt, A.J. Green, just a couple of those that they've added earlier in this offseason logs, and now they've got Malcolm Butler going to the place where he made the interception in the Super Bowl.
Well, and that's why he has a big name.
That's right.
But if you look at these three guys in particular, okay, J.J. Watt doesn't look like J.J. Watt that we've known. If you watched him last year, he's slowing down. When's the last time
he still
AJ
has moments, though.
He has moments, JP, but he's not the same player
he's
that
not
he was a couple
defensive
years
player
ago.
of the year.
When's the last time A.J. Green was dominant?
Been a little bit.
Okay, and then Malcolm Butler, he made a great play in the Super Bowl, but is he a number one corner? You know, so even though you say they're big names, they're not big-time players, in my opinion, anymore. They all three have a lot to prove, and they may prove it. I'm not saying they can't, but they got a lot to prove.
A.J. Green in the same division now as Jalen Ramsey. They're old buddies.
Yeah, they might have a little kumbaya moment, right?
That could be an interesting watch. We'll have to watch those Cardinals-Rams
A.J.
games.
Green lost his cool a little bit.
Yeah, I'd say so. Flipped him around on the field twice. Wide receiver T.Y. Hilton returning to the Colts. 1 year, $10 million, $8 million guaranteed. His 10th season in Indy. That's where he's going to end his career, it feels like.
He's a solid player. He is not – he doesn't make you hold your breath like he used to.
In the early days, he did.
When T.Y. was in the first 5-6 years of his career, he was fantastic. And his rate of putting up numbers was tremendous the last couple years. And part of that has been also due to the lack of great quarterback play in Indianapolis. And I think he got back a little bit last year when he had the ability to play with Phillip Rivers, but he had a couple years before that were kind of lost. And good signing for him, to go back and hopefully finish his career out as a Colt. It's a fair contract, $8 million plus $2 million in incentives, and I hope he doesn't earn any of those incentives against the Jaguars.
The NFL has cleared the way for Washington owner Daniel Snyder to buy out the minority investors in the team. Finance Committee approved Snyder's application for a $450 million debt waiver. Other owners will vote at the meeting next week on whether to approve the deal. It needs 24 votes in favor to pass. The total amount of the deal for the remaining shares is $875 million. He would have to repay the debt by 2028. It's coming in hot.
Well, because the league has, if people didn't know this, they have rules about the amount of debt that each team can carry.
Yes.
And that's why they're saying that they're allowing this to happen, but it has to be repaid by 2028. And Daniel Snyder and the other owners, there's been a lot of things that have been reported about how contentious that relationship has been.
That's right.
And that some of the accusations about Dan Snyder and the happenings in the organization were a result of some of the other owners maybe providing the information to people to expose Daniel Snyder.
There's still the investigation going on, I think the league investigation as to some of those.
And here's the reality, JP. The league is not approving all this debt relief if the investigation is going to go anywhere.
There you have it. The NFL memo added another detail to teams' draft preparations logs. Relaxation on masking and distancing requirements if all individuals in the draft room are fully vaccinated. There can be a maximum of 10 fully vaccinated individuals in the draft room for the team. If all are fully vaccinated, physical distancing is relaxed. Eating and drinking will be permissible. Friday is the deadline for draft room plans to be reviewed and approved by NFL Chief Medical Officer Dr. Alan Sills. So there you go, an additional change.
Yeah, which is, I hate to say this, a lot of that, too, is also for appearances. And because, look, when you're a successful league like the NFL is, you don't want to do anything to have a negative PR hit. And so the league is going to do everything it can to make sure that no negative publicity comes out of these draft room cams. And it's good business. It's smart business to do that.
A bad story turned into a good story out in Tempe, Arizona. New England Patriots reserve offensive tackle Justin Herron works out there in the offseason. He was honored by the Tempe Police Department this week. He helped stop an attempted sexual assault at a park over the weekend. The suspect was seen pushing a 71-year-old lady to the ground in broad daylight, mind you. Herron and another man intervened when they heard yelling. They yelled at the man, pulled him off the lady, and told him to sit down and wait on the cops. And they intervened and saved her, and they've been honored by the police department.
Well,
Cool.
I hope that he gave the suspect a little bit of a
the business,
a little bit of a calmer. They call it calmer. You're getting a little feisty. You give him a couple raps upside the head, calm him down. I hope he got a little bit of that.
Yeah, giving him the little extra.
Pushing down a 71-year-old woman.
Yeah, right.
I mean, come on.
It's crazy. Crazy story. It turned out
the suspect probably ran into a couple trees while he was trying to run away from some folks there.
Yeah.
That can happen.
Probably. Let's finish today with veteran sportscaster Dick Stockton retiring from Fox Sports. Logs 55 years as a play-by-play announcer, at least 1,545 network television games across 4 major pro sports leagues, the NFL, MLB, NBA, and the NHL. That's more than any sports broadcaster ever, including 714 NFL games.
Yeah, and I was a part of a couple of them and had production meetings with him. Super gracious guy, super nice guy, and I wish him the best. He's, 78 now?
Yeah.
I hope he enjoys every moment that he has in retirement. He deserves it.
He called the Carlton Fisk 1975 World Series home run in Game 6 in the 12th inning as
You
well.
remember that, don't you?
I was not alive yet.
No, I know that, but you remember it as far as watching the highlights.
There's
because
no doubt.
that's one of the greatest calls ever.
It absolutely was. And he started back in Philadelphia, his hometown, Joe Fortunato's hometown, in 1965. So congratulations on the retirement, and curious to see what happens at Fox Sports.
So are you going to fill his shoes, JP?
I don't think so. No.
Come on.
No.
Come on.
That's our look around the NFL. All right, so we've got a few minutes left here, Log. So what is what's your favorite free agent addition so far for the Jags? What one stands out the most to you?
Well,
do
look,
you have one yet?
I really don't have one yet, but here's what I do like. Everybody that has come in here has said the right things. As far as when you come in, you don't come in having an expectation of what you deserve. The players have come in and said, I'm willing to do anything for this team to win. And they keep using that word win. It's not about me and the attention that I get and the role that I'm going to fill. It's about winning. And I think that's the thing for me that's been the most impressive, is that everybody that has had a chance to get in front of the mic has always talked about team first and team goals before they talked about themselves. And that's critical to any team's success, especially one you're trying to rebuild.
You know who I'm excited to hear from? We haven't heard from yet? Tyson Alualu.
One of the best guys ever.
I don't know when he's scheduled to speak.
I don't worry. I don't need to hear from Tyson Alualu. I already know
right.
what kind of a guy he is.
Yeah.
He's one of the best guys that has ever walked through these doors. Marvin, and I will tell you, Mercedes Lewis, Tyson Alualu, I mean, 2 of my all-time favorite guys that have ever graced these hallways. And I'm excited to have Tyson back because he is as good of a guy as there is, and he's still a really good football player.
You mentioned Mercedes. I failed to include him in the NFL notes. He signed a new deal, 2 years, $8 million.
He
won't be
is
coming back around here anytime soon.
Another guy that just continues to defy father time, just like Tyson.
No doubt. So there you have it, our look around free agency. And coming up next week, we're about a month away from the draft, Logs. It is coming quick.
I wonder who they're going to pick first overall.
I wonder. That's a great – maybe we'll have to delve into
talk about that next week.
Maybe next week. We'll
throw
get
some names that might be candidates there.
See if anything sticks.
Yeah.
You know, that's a good idea. the real drama will be at 25, though, of course, and all these mock drafts are coming out. You know, John Ozier on Jaguars.com does a mock draft tracker where he tracks all these mock drafts. Obviously, that's why it's named that. And everybody unanimously has been number 1, Trevor Lawrence. But 25 is a crapshoot. You don't know. I mean, every mock is different, and it just depends on the scenario above, and we'll see. We will see.
Could be a tight end.
Could be tight. Could be safety. Could be tackle.
Could be anything.
Could be anything. Could be the best available player.
Here's one thing that's for sure.
Not a kicker or punter.
You need to find a serious contributor with that 25 pick. I'm talking about somebody that's going to walk in and play and contribute and make this team better immediately. That's what you expect with first-round picks.
Our thanks to Judy Battista, NFL Media, one of the best in the business. Ashlyn Sullivan, Jaguars reporter, joining us as well. Brent Reber on the video side. Joe Fortunato on the audio side. Jeff Lageman to my left side. your right side. I'm JP Shadrick. And we'll catch you next time. It's Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.